on the previous episode, Rabbi, you made the point that you're allowed to focus on the present because you're not holding on to any pain from the past. And now you say that you're alive and it's a privilege to be married to someone who gets you. So explain how you guys get each other and what is a privilege mean every day.
Or if I may jump in real quick, it's important when we say without carrying the pain from the past. That's what allows us to see each other clearly, because when we have these blockages of past experiences that are unresolved, they hinder true experiences and reality that is happening as we are living it. If we're still looking through the glasses that have fingerprints or some sort of mudding, we're not able to see pictures clearly. So once we resolve all these issues, we are able to truly appreciate our partner and who we are married to and see them for who they are without having these blinders from the past that hinder that clarity and that connection.
Right. So we on the way back from shul, we bumped into someone who I shared a brilliant insight that came into my life. The Shabbat, the Erev Shabbos after the Shiva of my father, there was a woman who was admitted by her daughter to the atria, and Zawa Shiva was forced into it. She agreed to it, but reluctantly agreed to it. She said she would try it. And this woman that we met today in the park, my first interaction with her was she called me because she heard that we had that program, Smile on Seniors, where we go every single Erev Shabbos and holidays to the atria with the kids and everything else. So she heard about that, and she also apparently attended one of my classes. I just didn't know her at that point. So she asked if I could stop by her mother's room before I left Atria. And she would be there and we had I came up and the mother was depressed. And because moving to Atria means basically giving up a level of independency. But that's hard enough for, someone who lives life, who essentially feels alive. And she said that she, before being admitted to the atrium, one of the hardest the experiences for her and most painful was losing her husband. They would paint together and they lived life together, and he passed away. And she loved painting. She would teach painting. She was a painter and everything else. But she would do it together with him. So now, anytime she looked at it, it was too painful. So she stopped. The other very prestigious role that she held, that she felt that she contributed a lot, and until just recently, I don't know how long before, but within maybe approximately a month or so, 2 months, she would teach water aerobics every single day. But I think something with She had diabetes. Something happened. She found that she had something, and as a result of that, the doctors forbade her to go to the pool because if she scratches herself, whatever. So now, losing her husband, losing her passion, and now, because of certain countries, now she had to move in to the atria. She feels that she lost her independency. What would you say to a woman like that?
There's not much you could say to a woman like that. Someone, we know that you don't, when somebody's mourning, that's part of the loss. But mourning, you don't console them. You just are there for them.
Right. But there are certain times where the mourning is self-imposed. And yeah, there's pain, right? There's pains of loss, and there's pain of, but one of the hardest pains of life is growing pains.
Absolutely.
Because by definition, it shakes you out of where you were.
That's also because we're alive. That's it.
But
That's the
that's
indicator.
the whole thing. So at that point, what would I tell her? Because I was only brought here for one reason, to try to, like, cheer her up and tell her it's okay to remain there, because she didn't want to remain there. So I didn't know what to say. So I asked Hashem to give her a bracha and to think of what to say. And then there was a memory that was stored in my mind since 1986. We were just here for about half a year or something like that. And we were in Manhattan, and you saw one of those storefronts of electronic stores, the Apollo launch. And I've never seen anything like that. And I was 8 years old, and for me, this was, wow, a rocket that's going to space. But I've never seen, in my mind, rockets, how, like, they would look so different, like, like I used to build them in my Legos, and my father asked me, do you know how big that rocket is? I was like, no. He's like, he points out to an adjacent building and says, it's that tall. And I was like, wow. And my mom was like, that's amazing. And then, the fuel tanks, my father said, do you know what those are? And in my mind, I was like, those are the missiles where they shoot the bad guys. It's like, fuel tanks. Anyway, all of this was new to me. And I was like so amazed. And then my father asked me, but do you know what happens to the rocket as it launches? So I said, yeah, there's a lot of fire and a lot of smoke. It's like, basically, I was telling in Hebrew, this is awesome. And he says, no, yeah, that's the beginning. But then as it launches and it goes higher and higher, it starts releasing one fuel tank, the next fuel tank, and then one compartment and another, until once it's completely out of orbit, it's basically like a pod with some boosters. And for me, I was like, but why? Okay, why? It looks so amazing this way. This is what a rocket should look like. And he says, because while all of those compartments are necessary and components are necessary for the launch, as it goes higher and higher, it must release to shed weight in order to conserve fuel and in order to get to where it needs to get to. Otherwise, it'll come back crashing. What actually helped launch it upwards eventually becomes a dead weight. This is what my father told me. And I never understood why he told me that story. I remembered it. It was etched away and tucked away in my mind for a long time. until that Friday afternoon when, what do you say to this woman? I'm not her age. I'm nowhere close her age. She lived life. She understands what life is. But then I told her the story. It's like, it seems to me, and that's what I told her. I said, it seems to me that you led a magnificent life. That you had a true relationship, and that's amazing. And that you inspired, and you got inspired, and you have a flair for life. That's amazing. And all of that was there in order to bring you here. Which means if this is the next stage, you had to go through that, but not to hold on to that. That's the lens that you're saying, that's the lens. That's the tainted lens.
To get back to your question, it's beautiful. What does it mean to have someone get me? Right? That was part of the question. And I think in every relationship, there's a part where people are just getting to know each other and they're getting each other interested and they already have basic connections. And then Hasidus comes in and tells us a marriage is not just two people coming together, it's an neshama that's reuniting. So you already are one and it's one essence, yet we forget that because we had different lives. We came from different places. We had all our experiences and ups and downs and what brought us to where we are now, right? So when we release the fuel tank, things that are no longer serving us, now we're able to propel. But what also we see a true relationship, a true marriage from the Hasidic perspective is not only us connecting on the soul level, but bringing it down that we look at each other not from the superficial lens, but more from the pneumius, from the internal lens. And we see what is it that the strength of the other person and their weakness, and we help them to bring those out. And together we go from strength to strength based on that internal connection, the essential connection that no matter what comes our way, it's us versus the issue versus the problem versus the disagreement, the challenge, whatever comes. But when it comes from the essential point where we are one, everything else is just like a bugs on the windshield. You just swipe them, but you're driving the car. You're navigating that spaceship, the rocket, whatever it is. But you are the ones driving it, and so it's beautiful because when that realization kicks in, and it comes from really learning and eternalizing Chassidus, the marriage is a whole different institution. It's no longer two separate people coming together. Now we have to figure out how to make it work, which that's how it works in the secular world. But now we're already good. Now, how do we bring even better? How do we make us better?
Let me tell you something. I'm going to say straight out.
You're smiling. You're smiling the whole time saying this.
Straight out, dude. I'm going to tell you something.
Tell me something.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Really. I am. You should listen to the first 2 or 3 of our podcasts. I want you to see how much you've grown in such a small time. I'm very proud of you.
Next question. Or do you have? Thank you.
I'm not straight up. Just like listen to those podcasts. That was exactly what we were saying. I was saying it like you were coming from the other perspective. And now you're like, shit, I'm saying exactly that you come from oneness, and that's it. And it's, well, you remember one of our first conversation, when we were still like just our dates when we were talking over the phone when you're in Florida, I'm here. One of our first multi Shabbos conversation for bringing that we had, and that became the theme of all of our discussions. Do you see the essence from within the patterns, or do you view the patterns from the lens of the essence?
You're a black zebra with black stripes.
Exactly. You remember that?
With black stripes.
Exactly. What's reality? You remember that? That became basically the whole entire thing. As you look at from the pnimis of the chitzini, and yeah, you from the chitzini, you could like this by process of elimination, abstraction. Eventually, you could come to it.
And eventually, I think all marriages will come to that realization, but that's something that builds over time. But then the Kathila approach is like, no, you're there. You're already there.
Because last episode, which was almost exactly 30 days ago, it was all about how to shift from facing each other to standing together against the problem. So this was a very clear leap in your dialogue that you just made. What was the catalyst for that? What do you wish you knew previously? The trust level, do you know the comments?
Trust, I think it's a major foundation of a relationship, and it takes a feeling safety emotionally on all levels in order to establish trust. Especially as a young married couple. Raymond?
Chag B'Shvat to Adar, Pesach, Nisan, Iyar. Wow.
Thomas?
Wait a second.
No.
Wait a second. Nisan. No, I'm sorry. Adar, Nisan, Iyar. It's not even 4. It's not even 4 months.
I think the transition that every couple undergoes, especially, we didn't really date much. We did it really a Hasidic approach. You go on a few dates, and then you make a decision, okay, whether it's a match or not a match, and then you go from there. So we didn't date long. When we got married is really when we started to get to know each other on the superficial level and then go deeper. So it's a process. It's a process of tuning to each other, really getting to know likes and dislikes, the personalities, the real pecha mecha, like the Rebbe calls it, like just real day-to-day things. There's exciting things, there's not exciting things. There's especially coming in your second marriage. Established habits, established patterns. We're not 20-year-olds who, nothing to compare to. We're coming in 5%, different backpacks. So unpacking that together and how do we work with that? It's a challenge for anyone getting married for the first time. It doesn't matter. Second time. So what was revealed is the fact that true love in a relationship isn't conditional, as we talked about it in class today. It's not based on certain promise or something that you do for each other or not do. By really attuning and realizing the fact that we are one soul, we are connected on the eternal level, that it's not conditional, it's essential. So understanding that really propels the relationship to a different level. And yet we may still have our differences and different habits and different things that I like things a certain way, he likes the things that does not go away. But the fact that even when we don't agree on things, we are still loving and caring and supportive of each other. And we may, even have an argument of some sorts, but we still make each other sandwiches and then make each other coffee and go through it, because nobody canceled emotions. We're human beings. We're going to go through our ups and downs and bad moods and good moods, and that's normal. And sometimes our moods are not even something that we're going through, but something that was imposed on us from outside, from something happened in the family, something happened outside, but we get emotionally connected and we transfer that into a relationship, and it gets, what's the word? Like,
Ingrained?
not ingrained.
Internalized.
No, it's projected. The outside issues that are not our own, we project it into a relationship, and it becomes, because we are such, it's like when a person is in pain, right? No matter what they do, they can have that edge to their talk and that unease in the conversation. They may not keep an eye contact, maybe a little rough and slam the door, but it's not because of something that you've done, but something that maybe they're in pain physically, or something that they're processing that came from outside and has nothing to do with you. But so we hold space for that. We need to, and that's part of attuning to each other, is knowing when to hold space, when to engage. And that does not take away from the relationship. It's just
That is
part of maturity.
No, that's the relationship.
And that's the relationship, right? Because it's not conditional based, you have to be nice to me or that's it. Or you have to cook for me and that, or we're not married. No, it's essential. We are married. What you do, what you don't do, it's irrelevant. It's nice when you do it, but does it take away from our connection that we're one? No, it doesn't.
Wow. I'm telling you, this so amazed. I'm not kidding. I'm amazed. I'm without speech.
Pause for a second.
I'm just saying, it's like,
There's humanity.
if you reviewed the first, second, and third podcast and we actually recorded one of our phone conversations the first time we did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ever released that. That was just between us at that point. And that was a repeated conversation. But this is a whole new level of you.
Well, that's, you can't really speak of something unless you've lived it, right? Everything,
Right.
it's very theory. It's like, yeah, I've read about this. It's a nice concept. But when you really know something, when do you really know something? When you've not just learned it, you applied it, you've implemented it, and you've seen it work, right? You're seeing the results, so you could speak about it now. That graduated. You get the Medal of Honor, the Badge of Honor. What is it called? Medal of Honor.
So when you truly view, you perceive and you see everything from the lens of that oneness, then understand that what you're seeing in your other half pertains to you just as much as it pertains to them.
Well, your other half is your other half, equal
Right.
and opposite. So you will be so different because what you have, they don't have. What they have, you don't have.
But that's
some has a sense of humor.
no.
Putting people together.
Just the opposite. This was what in Pirkei Avos says. Ma'od ma'od. You should be exceedingly havishval ruach. You should be exceedingly lowly of spirit in front of every person. And there's a sikha. The Rebbe asks, how could a person truly, based on the Tana, so the Tana says, how could a person truly be lowly of spirit of someone that he he recognizes that is much lower than him. For example, a professor in a university could be lowly of spirit in front of a first grader. Yeah, how could you? A parent could be in front of a child. How does that work functionally? But Rabbi explains that being that, as the Gemara says, that we're all one body. Therefore, each person, each neshama is tied to an organ of that body, the function of that body. And in the sin, you may have all these milas, all these virtues. You might be on a whole different stature than this person is. But this person has statures and milas, virtues that you don't have.
Also, as you brought up, in a lot of cases, say a person, it's a professor versus a student. Yes, the professor has more knowledge. Would he look down? No. He has more knowledge. He has years of experience and learning and really internalize it. This is a first grade, second grade kid who doesn't have that base. But it doesn't mean that a few years from now, this student is not going to be higher than a professor in knowledge and understanding and in invention, whatever that is being taught.
That could be, but we're not talking about
So
a
that's
few
why we
years.
cannot look down.
We're talking about now. We're not talking about potential. Now, based on the current status now, based on what the Alter Rebbe explained in Tanya, each one of our souls are sourced in one of the organs, one of the levels in the supernal worlds. And based on this, each one of us has our function, the framework of our function, strengths and limitations that are conducive for our role of what we're here to do. And you don't have that. And you don't have that perspective because perhaps you don't need it in your life. Like the Rebbe told that young man, I'm jealous of you. I was never tested with this.
Mm-hmm.
I was never given this kind of desire that you do. Therefore, I'm envious because if you're giving this desire, it means you're that much stronger than me. And the Rebbe wasn't joking. He wasn't trying to placate the kid. The Rebbe was very serious. That's for like understanding that while you might have a completely and radically different perspective and understanding, nevertheless, you have one half of the picture. Your spouse has the other. You have the other. So the things that trigger you, the things that bother you, are just as pertinent to me than they are to you, and vice versa. Because it's not, like you said, now that you understand this, it's not your trigger versus me, spy versus spy, but this is one neshama is given the opportunity to reveal itself in every single one of these situations. That's shlichus. Shlichus, you don't get sent to where everybody knows, like Chassidus, you get sent to somewhere and you're meant to create holiness there and bring light in there. So it's actually each one of these things is not like you consider like a bug on the windshield will crush you like a little bug, like Mother Russia. No, it's not. It's actually every single one of those things are an invitation to express this oneness. And the incongruencies are exactly that.
So what you're saying is it's one neshama in two different bodies having the same experience, but through two different bodies.
Yes, and yes. And that's exactly the point. The point is, they should become one flesh. So after the neshama is one. The bodies, the physical, the Gashmias has to become one. In other words, your experiences, my experiences, my knowledge, your knowledge, all of that has to become like literally revealed that this is one. It was just like all pieces of a puzzle. Now, what usually, sometimes you got those puzzles, the most frustrating puzzles. Before I knew this, I was frustrated because whatever. It's the ones that the pieces do really match, but because the machine didn't cut them correctly, they don't seem not to match because this has an excellent. So what do you have to do? If you're really obsessed to get these pieces together, you'll just do a little DIY or whatever that's called. You're like kind of say it will match.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're gonna throw it out. Well, what else are you gonna do? Yeah, the issue is that aside from the oneness, there's also like the goof, the nefesh Bahamas, the physicality, the corporeal experiences, the defense mechanisms, the defense mechanisms of view anyone invading that trigger as an enemy. And that was registered over and over and over and over. The nefesh Bahamas is a creature of habit. The ego is just. And now, the hardest part is to shed those layers.
So,
But well, it goes back to what you said in the beginning. It's when you're able to come. I'm going to put both parts that you said. In the beginning, you said trust, and that requires, hey, this, and then you go on to explain that when you understand this oneness, it's all that you're one, truly one. Then instead of disengaging each other, like I don't want to talk to you, shutting down or anything like that, what we end up doing is like, okay, so this is what you're doing. This is bothering you. This is bothering me. Whatever it is, let's actually talk about it. Because you're understanding it's whether it happened the way it did in childhood that you remember. You have these memories. You have these things. So you carry a map of the world, and you're going to watch the entire world from that map. Flabitsky said that when he was a bacher, coming to Kvutza, the year that they come from his house, they spent a year with the Rebbe in 770. He told one of his neighbors in Tel Aviv that he's going to New York. And then a year after the Kvutza, he comes back, and the neighbor notices him and says, "No, how was New York?" It's like beautiful. It was great. It says, "Did you see the Statue of Liberty?" He says, "No." It says, "Did you see the Twin Towers?" He says, "No." "Did you see Times Square?" He says, "No." He says, "Are you sure you were in New York?" and for bringing, he says, "You see, to this guy, that's New York. If you didn't see that, you didn't go there. Where for me, New York is 770. That's it. 770 Kingston Avenue. It's the only place I go, and wherever the time is." This is the Statue of Liberty. So for this person, that map doesn't even exist. It doesn't even register. So whatever map you have, that's how you're going to view the entire edifice and the relationship and everything else. So when you're looking for oneness, then every single one of those, is part of your learning of how to drive, how to navigate. But you're doing it with confidence.
right, and that changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. So
Right.
instead of you hurt me, it becomes, what is Hashem trying to reveal to us right now?
Right.
Instead of you're my obstacle, you hold the other piece of the puzzle that I don't have, so we can see the full picture.
Right.
And that takes bittul. That takes humility. That takes being humble and open to receive that from the perspective of oneness, from the perspective of one soul living through these two different experiences, and having that rahman is that compassion for the soul. Like, you got to go through this. How much is it hurting the soul when the bodies are, going through all these challenges?
Right. But that's you're probably too young. So 87, I think it was 88. Two hearts beating in just one mind. You remember that? Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought about that. So I was a kid when that came out.
Yeah, I was a 1-year-old. But that's what changes, and that's what it means to really appreciate someone who gets you, because you get them. When you become ready to receive, a true vessel for the relationship, that's when you're able to get each other and grow from that point together.
So last time you guys spoke about healing each other's inner child. Can you each share about what your inner child is looking forward to next?
I I know my inner child. There was a word for it, but the word was invented after my inner child grew up. With the hiding back then, it was ADD. It was like a belt, and the what was it? The Adderall was a belt. So, my inner child, that Baruch Hashem remained with me my entire life, like both the positive and the negative. Doesn't really plan. Like, me, like I have ideas which come out of curiosity, what about this? What if we try, how do any of what we do? It just came out of, in my head. It was like, we need to do this. Okay. So I don't plan. I just I observe about this, and I'm curious about it through every single person, every single situation, and all times so I mean, our plan is to take over the world.
But how do we help heal each other's inner child?
I mean, I think what we spoke about until now. I mean, that's what it is. No, I mean,
What do you think her inner child needs, and what do you think his inner child needs?
I think it's both. Just this knowledge in itself is exactly what it is. That you won't be abandoned. You're okay. That's what intrinsic self-worth is. Like, no matter what on the outside, I don't have to prove myself in order to earn your love. So I think for the most part, that it might come up from different, like she said, it might come from different lenses, but it's more or less the same. And so when we come, as we've been moving more and more into that space, when we come at this as we're one, all right, so right now, you're like, something's bothering you, let's talk right now. Or, okay, I see you need your space, but we're coming back to this. And in the meantime, like I said, we make sandwiches, we make coffee for each other, you give chocolate and vitamins, and and one day we go bye kids. Right? And we just watch that stuff that cracks us up, it's like, okay. And then after, it's like, once you already disarmed the animal, so it's like, okay, fine. It's like, let's really talk. Come on.
I think that's really beautiful, because inner child is our truest self, our essence, in a way, the untainted part, the most innocent part of us that puts on layers of defense, of protection, due to the way we were raised, and now we're an adult, yet this most innocent part of us is trapped and hiding and has all these coverings. So I don't think healing, maybe this is my personal opinion, I don't think healing is the right way to say it, because I don't think our inner child needs healing. Our inner child needs to be feeling safe enough to be back in its original.
Right.
That's what the teshuva is. It's not repentance, it's return to innocence. It's return to that state of I'm free to be me, and I'm accepted for who I truly am, and I'm loved, and there's nothing that I can do that will ever change that, because my partner, my husband accepts me, my wife accepts me for exactly for who I am, all my ups, all my downs. And then that inner child can truly breathe and be aligned. And that's when we reach our highest potential, because our inner child is not sick. That's for sure. It doesn't need healing. We just need safety space to be who we are, truly. It's a child in an adult's body in a way. So how do we connect the two? Everything that we went through, it's the adult that needs healing. The child is perfect. So yeah, we as an adult, we gotta deal with all the things that we deal with in order to return to that state where it's a complete alignment of the inner and outer. And that's how we help each other reach our highest potential.
I just recent, like, not recently, but in the last, I would say, month, I see more and more. Like, I see, like, I think I might mention, like, I see, like, yeah, you, like, childlike self come out.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. It's a great sign.
It is like,
Because we are, when we're born, a child is born, they're happy. They're smiling, they're laughing, they're enjoying life. They love the butterflies. They love the sunset and the sunrise and the rain and the puddles, right? All the things that us adults find annoying, the bugs and the wet rain and all these, that makes us uncomfortable. But child rejoices and finds really beauty in everything around us. So that's the gap that we need to bridge and to
right.
return to that truest, like, it's all Hashem. This is all beautiful. Take off the dirty glasses, really change your perspective, learn some this.
Give me a second.
So, Rabbi, you said earlier in relation to the rockets, what can launch you can also